Guys, welcome to the DRS Zone panel where we are going to be giving you some interesting takes on the latest Drive to Survive series. So let me just pause myself in relation to a back page that I have. But just generally speaking, it's your boy AMG Dent from the ends. I got the sauce like Pierre Gasly, and in the streets, they call me Planting Piastri. And I'm with my brothers. My brother R to the J, J to the R, fastest guy in the car from Detroit, Michigan, I think. Is that correct, RJ?
About 2 hours away, but we'll take it.
Okay,
313,
all
what's
right.
up?
Local. And then, of
Yep,
course,
yep.
my Irish brother, Rory, the Irish lad. Top of the morning to you, Dunne. How you guys feeling, man?
Good.
Feeling
Yep,
great. Feels good to be back.
yep. Nice. That's good
Mhm.
to hear. And obviously, on the eve of the first qualifying session of the year, essentially, we have been watching Drive to Survive, which was released last Friday. And the first thing I'm just going to pop up on the screen is what would you rate the series out of 10 in terms of the latest season?
Ooh.
I-
I'm
I'll
guessing
start.
Rory's going to give it a -1.
Oh yeah, I'm going to. I want Drive to Survive cancelled from next season, so I am putting it.
Oof.
I'm putting it at a big 3 out of 10.
Oof. Oh, he's cooking. All right. And RJ, your thoughts out of 10, what would you give it?
uh, so I'll be honest. I didn't watch the last two episodes. So I don't think my rating should fully count, but I got a little American bias, I guess, in some ways. I'll give it a 4, a little bit more than Rory. I won't knock him too head, but hey, Mary. Oh, Mary's giving it a 0. Love it.
Zero. Well, it's been really controversial this latest season because, with Drive to Survive, there's always a balance of trying to engage new fans and bring them into the sport and show the sport in a more entertaining way. But I think maybe some of the things that happened in last year's season was very controversial, and it seemed to be that they prioritized the entertainment value of the sport rather than the integrity and core values. So it's been a very interesting one. Also, I'd just like to say hi to all of our viewers. So we've got Mary inside here. Hi, Mary. We got Mike Fowler, which is actually a Red Bull fan. So he's in uncharted territories in this space, but
Ooh,
we
Rory's
accompany
Rory's
anybody.
perking up.
We got one of our colleagues as well, Wayne Dixon. Lovely to have Wayne
Mhm.
inside here as well. Very knowledgeable, very awesome fan, and this awesome person to have on the DRS panel as well. His link is in the description. And yeah, I think I will. Oh, we also have Crystal. Hello, Crystal. I hope you're keeping well and you're
Hey,
enjoying
Crystal.
the content. Huge shout out to Crystal. But yeah, coming back to what we'd rate the series out of 10. For me, you guys have gone quite aggressive, which I wasn't expecting from you guys. For me, I would say the series, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. I think on one hand, they missed out a lot of details, which we'll come on to in the what could be done better segment. But I think there was a lot of things they touched on. They touched upon the kind of Haas scenario and basically Gunter Steiner
Mhm.
having to basically fight for the team survival with the Mazepin Uralkali money. We also looked at Daniel's like mental frame of mind, of course, when it came to his lack of performances at the beginning of the season. Uh, and also Yuki Tsunoda, like having a Japanese driver have to move all the way to Milton Keynes, which probably isn't the most fascinating part of England. And then his like quite controversial and also very like outspoken manners, and Franz Tost trying to kind of keep the reins on him, as Christian said. So a lot of things there too. But okay, let's move on to what would you say could be better about the show? What would you guys say could be improved?
Everything.
Care to elaborate on that, Rory?
No, it's honestly, I think if we look at overall the 4 seasons of Drive to Survive so far, first season was okay. It could have been like season 2 expanded on it because there are only a certain amount of teams in season 1 actually participated in the season. Season 3 started falling off for me. Like when you can notice that they were using the wrong radio messages, the wrong crowd sequences, everything basically. That's why I ranked it so low this season, because it was all like using radio messages where it shouldn't be. Like I think one example when Lewis was won at the British, no, when Max won Austria, they showed the crowd, Christian Horner waving to the crowd at the Dutch Grand Prix. So like, yeah. And as well, I think I saw somewhere as well, someone timed Lewis Hamilton's 10-second penalty at Silverstone, and on screen it was 32 seconds. Like, it's just...
You're so inside there, man.
Yeah. That's where I just think it just needs a whole rethink. I am a bit harsh saying it needs to be cancelled, but for next season. But I do think it needs how they produce it needs to be different, definitely different.
Yep. I definitely agree with those points. And RJ, what are your thoughts? What could be improved about Drive to Survive?
Yeah, I think Rory hit the nail on the head with some of it. I think part of it just comes down to the continuity, that you want the same sequences when it comes to stuff, so it's actually depicted accurately. Obviously, the way you edit, a 2+ hour race from perspectives of other teams and a lot of other storylines, it's going to be a lot to manage. But I feel like it's interesting for me because you look at someone who's part of the show, also a part of F1, like Will Buxton, where you think he would have some control over that and not making it maybe as dramatized. For me, it just kind of gave me like every episode just didn't seem consistent. Like, right away, it's the Christian Horner swearing show, as Rory's alluded to in the past. And I don't know. For me, it just kind of put me off a little bit. I think in the beginning, the reason why I like Drive to Survive so much was you just get all the unique kind of perspectives in the first initial episode. And I think that way, right away, it was already kind of being played, but as like, Christian Horner a lot. And that kind of deterred me from liking it. But in terms of what they could do better, in America here, we have a series on HBO called Hard Knocks, where all they do is just follow one NFL team the entire season. They go through everything. I think if Drive to Survive was really doing it right, in my opinion, they would make a show kind of primarily based off that. There's so many storylines we don't see enough of. For instance, if they were doing it this year in that setting, I think something like a camera specifically on like a team like Haas, Ferrari, or even like a Mercedes would make the most sense, because that's what fans actually want. You don't want this like shifting paradigm of, hey, Mazepin's beef, at the Sochi Olympic, or not Olympic, but at the Sochi race, having this like veteran call of changing his tires when it didn't even matter. And for viewers, it makes it seem like he was a genius,
Absolutely, I agree with you, Jay. And just before we get into that, also, big hello to one of our other colleagues, Wayne Dixon. Give them a hello there, Wayne.
Hey, how's everybody? I'm gonna hop out here, but I just wanted to jump in and get asked how I felt about it.
Yeah, and how did you feel, Wayne? How did you feel? Tell us, man.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't watch a millisecond of it. Anyways, I just wanted to pop in and say that I'm gonna check out.
All right, no worries at all, Wayne. No worries. Well, I'll wrap up this point as well about what could be better. I definitely agree and echo all the points made by Rory and RJ as well. I believe that there were quite a few things missing, To begin with, they started off the whole season like with this whole build-up of like a championship fight between Lewis and Max, which you expect. But then having said that as well, they missed out some really good talking points. Like Murray Walker just passed away at the beginning of the season, and he's one of the biggest greats and one of the biggest additions to the sport. No kind of recommendation, no acknowledgement of Murray Walker, which I felt was a very poor opportunity missed. We're going to get into Daniel Ricciardo a bit later in the stream as well, but there was like a deal between Zach Brown and Daniel Ricciardo that if he won a race, he'd be able to drive any car out of Zach Brown's collection, and he had a Dale Earnhardt car. And that completely just didn't get talked about in the series as well, which I think was missed. Also, they completely missed Lewis Hamilton's drive in Brazil. So if you are going to do this thing about having two contenders going wheel to wheel, I think Brazil was a good highlight from the season. Completely missed that. On top of that, in the final episode, which was called Hard Racing, ironically enough, they were talking essentially about just glimpsed on essentially the safety car protocols and explain what the safety car rules traditionally are. But again, I understand that maybe they didn't want to prejudice the report that should be dropping today, and we'll touch on that too. But generally speaking, not enough detail on that either, which I found quite frustrating. And yeah, if they want to continue the longevity of this series, as you guys have mentioned, I think that's something they need to focus on as well. So yeah, absolutely. So let's piggyback actually on a point that RJ talked about in relation to
Mhm.
Hard Knocks. It's evident that Crystal obviously watches it because she said that she loves it, which is cool. And yeah, Rhett's also put in the chat, what team would you all want a Hard Knocks type series to focus on? So yeah, would you guys in the chat like to see them follow like a bigger team like Mercedes or Ferrari or Red Bull? Would you want them to follow a team like Aston Martin, which are going through a restructuring process? Would you want them to
Mhm.
go for the underdogs like Williams or Haas? Because that'd be interesting. And we'll let you add that into the chat whilst we go into the next comment. And Mary said, Rory's dog's not happy. Yeah, Rory's dog probably was like, nah, I'm not watching this this Drive to Survive series. So yeah. But we'll go on to our
Um,
next talking point then. So what would you say was your favorite moment of the show?
Mhm. I'll
I
also.
also. Oh, you go ahead, RJ.
Okay.
No, you go
I was
ahead.
just thinking about it because it was fresh in my mind. So I was watching an episode yesterday, the AlphaTauri episode. For me, I thought that was one of the better ones because I don't think we knew enough about Yuki Tsunoda and what type of person he was. And it's interesting to see the perspective where he kind of gets this attitude where he's like, I hate working out. He's kind of like a little bit of a slob in some ways. He's just like a jokester. He has zero filter. Whatever he says, he just spits out. And it's interesting to see that the Christian Horner dynamic I did like, where he was mentioning, he needs the finishing school more or less before he possibly gets that seat at Red Bull. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And that comes back to my point, even for something like a Hard Knocks this season or someone focused where you have a team that's always not in kind of the spotlight. I don't know this season if I would want it on like a Guan Yu Zhou in the same sense, but I think getting some more of those backstories is priceless. So that was my favorite episode. And if there was a Hard Knocks, I feel like I would focus on more of a rookie driver. Someone who doesn't get as much coverage, but has the hype,
Okay. And Rory, what would you say was your favorite moment from the series?
Gunter Steiner and my boat. You kind of got the reference.
The Aldi
No.
magazines.
Oh man, that
Yeah,
was legendary. That was
yeah.
legendary. I can't lie. Just yeah, go on.
Yeah, if you saw anyone on Twitter, you saw someone leaked a show actually had the Analdi catalog and showed those actual photos of the So no, but yeah, I think the Haas episode for me was my favorite episode because I was really looking forward to it because we all know what happened last year with Haas and their former title sponsor Quali. So yeah, it was very interesting. And Gunter Steiner just stole the show for me this year. He always steals the show, but like this year, it was even better. So yeah, that was my favorite moment.
Awesome. I definitely agree with the takes there as well, Rory. We're gonna basically look as well at some of the comments here. So Mike Fowler said Christian riding Bottas. Oh my days, I remember that as well. So awkward. Honestly, like it was just so awkward. So yeah, I see that one. Also, big shout out to the Moaning Yorkshireman as well. Awesome guy, creates some legendary F1 content. Make sure you go and subscribe to his channel too. Go and show him some love. He's also agreed with us in saying the Haas episode, which, mate, let's actually just stop there and like have a speak on that because like you've got essentially Haas. They're a privately owned team by Gene Haas. They came into the sport and they had this really close relationship with Ferrari as a technical partner, which helped them gain a lot of immediate success to begin with. But then, as you know, Ferrari got pegged back with the engine infringement. Haas also took quite a big knock in their performance, and it became harder for them to sustain sponsors, a la Rich Energy. So we're basically brought into this season where they've got Uralkali, which is owned by Mazepin's dad, Dimitri Mazepin, one of the richest fertilizer investors,
Not an
and it's
oligarch.
basically an oligarch, yeah, essentially. And basically, it's this Mazepin's lack of talent and them having a go at Gunter, to say, oh well, the cars are not the same. Mick's got a superb car compared to Nikita, which almost doesn't make sense because where would Haas get the money to have one car that's better than the other? It wouldn't make sense to me. And then even Mazepin's dad getting involved and saying, "What are you doing to my son? You give my son bad car? Well, I will take Russian money away from you. No, 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 no." And honestly, I did feel
Then,
sorry for Gunter there.
then I have news. The FIA just released a report.
Okay. Well, does anyone have a link to it, and I could potentially see if I could share it on the screen?
I'll
think
share it to you on Twitter if you
Oh,
can.
Yeah.
okay, please do, because that is
Um,
quite pivotal as well.
I think Wayne mentioned it was coming out too here, so let's take a look.
I just shared it there to your DMs. So
Okay, let me see if I can get to the DMs, and then if I could share screens with the viewers. So, Rory Irish Dunne. Okay. So I've got the website up. That's cool. Let's see if I can share screens. Spotlight, news layout. How do I? No, is that not gonna work? Okay. Cinema layout. That's not doing anything.
Twitter's about to blow up
this is.
today.
I have just read some of it, and let's just say it's spicy.
Okay. Well, picture in. I'm just trying to change the format, guys. So bear me one moment to see if I can. Oh wait, I think I can share screens. Share screen. Okay, share screen. Yep, share. Okay. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, cool. So says here, introduction. This report has been drawn up to represent the WMSC members of the conclusion from the analysis and events that took place in the last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi. Cool. The sole purpose of this report was to draw any lessons and situations and clarity to be provided to the participants, media, and fans. Cool. It's lots of waffle. So we'll get off that. The facts, okay? On-track events. So the 12th of December 2021 on lap 53 to 58 of the race, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last competition, blah, 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 blah. Nicholas Latifi crashed into the barrier at the exit of turn 14, gives you the time. Marshals are required to remove the car and debris off the track. At this point, the racing order was set as follows: Lewis first, Max second, and Sergio Perez third, as marshals were immediately waving the double yellows. Cool. Point 2, at the time of the crash, both Hamilton and Verstappen were driving on hard compound tires, each having undertaken a previous change. Okay, safety car was deployed for race control. Verstappen pitted for new softs. Okay, Hamilton remained out on track on the hard compound tires once the field was under the control of the safety car and the recovery of Nicholas Latifi's car began. The speed of recovery was, however, slower than anticipated. Okay, why? Need to get understanding into that due to parts of the car's brakes catching on fire. Okay, so it clarifies it there. On lap 55 or 58, the recovery and cleanup of the incident continued. Okay, so there's 3 laps to go. Still, the track wasn't clear. So to me, that would indicate that the race was going to finish under a safety car. So yeah, fair enough. Also, let me just take down this comment as well of our friend Moni Yorkshireman. I will be putting back the comments, but just so everyone can see the full screen. So where was I? So later on lap 56, the safety car was still on the track as there was significant debris to be cleared. And on the track, a standard lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. So they followed the procedures at this part, which makes sense. And was published and led to the confusion amongst other teams. How would that lead to teams being confused if that's always been the rule that no cars would be allowed to overtake, or it wasn't safe for the cars to overtake because they said in the line above that there's still debris on the circuit that needed to be cleared by the marshal. So bit of a contradiction there, but we'll go through. At this point, the racing order was still Hamilton, Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz, and then Scuderia Ferrari. Perez had retired. Asterisks. Several radio exchanges between Red Bull and Race Control. You see on page 4. Okay. So then on lap 57, safety car is still on the track. So lap cars number 4, Norris, 14, Alonso, Ocon, Leclerc, Vettel overtake the safety car. The only 5 lap cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen was published on the timing of page 3. Okay, Ricardo, Stroll, and Schumacher were not obliged to overtake. Essentially, that's what I'm getting from this. Mercedes made a remark to race control. See on page 4. Okay. Let me just remove the other part of the banner that's still kind of protruding in the way. Sorry, guys. We just bang through these. Hide that. Perfect. Should be full screen now. So where was I? Race control subsequently notified the teams on lap 57 to 58. The safety car is in on that lap. So there's nothing in there at this time about whether or not the debris or the circuit had been clear. So entering onto lap 58, the final lap, track clear and clear in sectors 18 were published. This was allowed for the green flag racing conditions in the final lap. On lap 58, Verstappen overtook Hamilton into turn 5 for the lead of the race. Into turn 9, Hamilton touched Verstappen whilst trying to overtake him, but Verstappen stayed ahead and across the finishing line first, ahead of Lewis. Again, there's no mention of Verstappen's weaving on the straight there either. So, again, missing the facts, but we're missing facts, which is interesting. So, B, protest hearing and steward's decision. So at 7 o'clock local time, Mercedes filed 2 notices pursuant to Article 17 of the sporting regulations and Article 13.1 to 13.5 of the International Sporting Code. First, a protest of breach of Article 48 and the sporting code that Verstappen overtook Hamilton during the safety car period, which I think happened very briefly. Second protest alleged that there had been a breach of Article 48.12 of the F1 sporting regulations during the race and sought amendment to the race classification as the result of protests. Okay, so 45 minutes later, team representatives from Mercedes and Red Bull were summoned to the stewards. Again, it was over this car 33 max, Article 48.8 point, the sporting code. So from the same moment, again, lots of waffle here, doesn't seem relevant. Another, 30 minutes later, local time, again, both teams have been concerned about the stewards issued document 57, determined, although car 33 did at one stage for a very short period slightly overtake car 44, at a time when both cars accelerating and braking, he moved back behind car 44 and was not in front of the safety car when the safety car period ended. Interesting, because we see Michael Schumacher get a race ban and get a penalty for overtaking a car either under a safety car or just overtaking the lead car into a race. So interesting there. Then what do we have? This isn't incredible. Oh, okay. So an hour later, both representatives have heard the race directors on relation to document 58, where they determined that Article 15.3 allows the race director to control and use the safety car, which in determination includes its deployment and withdrawal. That also, although 48.12 may have not been fully applied in relation to the safety car returning to the pits at the end of the following lap, Article 48.13 overrides that one message, and safety car in that lap has been displayed, and it's mandatory to withdraw the cars at the end of that lap. Interesting, because still at this point they've not talked about their breach of allowing some cars to overtake the safety car and not the 3 that were still behind Verstappen. So not really understanding this. You got like an extract from the FIA here. So, notwithstanding Mercedes' request, the stewards remediate the matter by amending the classification to reflect the positions at the end of the penultimate lap. This is a step that the stewards believe is effectively shortening the race retrospectively and hence not appropriate, according to the protest, is dismissed. But again, they shortened the race at Spa, I know for different reasons concerning the weather, but again, there's nothing coherent about this report I'm seeing so far, guys. So again, another 10 minutes later, local time, see Article 15 of the International Sporting Code, Article 10.1.1, FIA judicial and disciplinary rules. Mercedes notified the stewards in writing of its intention to appeal the steward's decision in relation to Article 48.12. The deadline of lodging this appeal for the National Court of Appeal was the 16th of December, so it's 4 days after the race effectively. Mercedes did not submit a notification of appeal by the deadline or at any time thereafter, but rather confirmed publicly on the 16th it was withdrawing its appeal. Okay. So key issues and findings. So guys, this is the source. This is what we kind of want to see here. So key issues and findings. As confirmed by the WMSC in its statement on the 15th of December 2021, the purpose of a detailed analysis was the clarification and exercise to identify any lessons that could be learned from the events that took place in 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So number one, roles and responsibilities of the race director. The role of the race director is a nature demanding, high pressured, don't care about that. However, recurrent theme in the detailed analysis of clarification of exercise was a concern that a number of roles and responsibilities of the race director that accumulated over the years might be adding to additional pressure and of the role. Waffle. From 1997 to 2019, the role of race director was held by Charlie Whiting, rest in peace. In addition to the position of race director, Mr. Whiting simultaneously held positions as the FIA safety delegate, permanent starter, single-seater sporting director. Following Mr. Whiting's death in March, Charlie Whiting was appointed as the new race director. Massey was previously held as the role of deputy race director, taking over from Whiting's roles and delegating for him from 2021. Again, irrelevant. I don't see what that really has to do with anything here. Suggestions made by the F1 Commission and those interviewed were to include some race directive responsibilities should be divided and assigned to other persons to reduce the workload of the race director and to allow them to focus on key functions, including managing and controlling the race. So I guess we have seen that with the two new race directors in there so far. Point number two, radio communications between F1 teams and race director. Radio communications between F1 teams were identified as another key issue during the analysis. Direct communications between the teams and race control were made public earlier on in 2021 as part of a broader media strategy. Fair enough. It should be noted that only part of the exchanges was made public. Okay, so what parts were left out? Following the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, there's been significant amount of media attention and public debate directed at the communications between race director and Red Bull Racing team principal on the one hand, and then the race director and Mercedes team principal on the other hand, especially with the conversations that took place in the final laps of the race. Okay. Right, so this is the dialogue, it seems, lads, between Horner and the race director on lap 56. So lap cars not be able to overtake was published in conversation between Red Bull, Christian Horner, and team manager Jonathan Wheatley, and then race control director Michael Massey. So we got the dialogue here. I'm not even going to read that out because at this stage we already know that.
Mm-hmm.
Then it seems like we've got the other side of the dialogue here, with Toto basically talking about it not being right that they said one thing, that no lap cars will be able to overtake, and then they said lap cars will be able to overtake, but only the 5 in between Lewis and Max. So you've got that dialogue inside there too. Thus, much of the debate centered around the purpose of the appropriateness of the communications and whether in racing communications between the F1 teams and the race director should be broadcasted or even permitted at all. The consensus of those involved in the detailed analysis of clarification exercise was that the respective communications to the race director by Red Bull Racing and by Mercedes team principals in the final laps of the Grand Prix had a negative impact on the smooth running of the final laps. We agree with that. But because they were distracting when the race director needed to focus on making difficult and time-pressured decisions. Well, again, there's an element of debate as to whether it was difficult or whether it's time-pressured, because to me, there was one rule, and if he had followed it correctly, there wouldn't be the situation. But anyway, paragraph 26, indeed the safety car is deployed for the race director, and most particular to monitor the on track in order of the place of the deployment of appropriate flags. It seems like waffle. Race director must therefore manage both the cars and track. Again, waffle. Hence, it's found that these communications were neither necessary or helpful to, again, they're repeating themselves, waffle. Paragraph 29, with the foregoing that in mind, the consensus of those all involved in the detailed analysis, blah, 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 seems like bollocks, be free to perform, again, bollocks, just absolute bollocks at this point, guys. I'm actually gonna let Rory and RJ speak here before I get on to the next kind of bit about safety car and lapping procedure. What have you made of their wording so far? Because to me, this seems like a fact collecting exercise. I don't see anything revolutionary in this. What have you guys got to say?
I will start. I think it's typical FIA. It's when you do your own report. Like if you see in other organizations, when you do your own report of yourselves, this is going to happen. Like they're not going to give us what we want, in a sense, the juicy information, what actually went on in that room. They're just trying to make themselves look good and say nothing went wrong. If an independent organization did this, we would have a totally different report. So that's what I would think. They're just, it's waffling basically. Yeah, something did go on in that room. I do think as a Rebel fan, something did go on in that room, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I'll hand over to RJ.
Yeah, fair points there, Rory and RJ. What have you made of it so far? Because like I'm looking at the tab, we're about 2/3 into this, so I haven't struck gold yet. What's your thought?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fluff. I think it's any organization that, is at the head or pinnacle of a sport is going to do whatever they can to try to protect their integrity, or at least make people think they're protecting it. My response of whatever comes out at the end of this too is there going to be, any sort of actual live press conference after the fact? I think this is such a big pinnacle of this sport, especially with a new director and everything coming in. I think even if this was done, let's say properly, or, you completely believe what's in there, I still think just because of it, it would warrant something live in person where you can actually get, a firsthand recollection where it's not as much legal jargon and actually the humanistic aspect of it. Because really in the moment, humans do make mistakes, but to try to downplay it with, how many pages is this? 7 pages, and you're not even really to where it needs to be until the very end. I don't get it, but I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know going forward if Red Bull fans, how they'll react if Max is going to be needing more thirsty to get a victory this year, World Championship again. So I guess we'll see.
Yep, I definitely agree with you there as well, RJ. And just kind of, again, we haven't even finished it yet, so I will continue reading the rest of it before we go back to the other format. We round this segment of the show up. But yeah, like, it's BS. Like, I'm really not intrigued or not impressed with this crap at all. Like, it doesn't justify, it doesn't explain anything fully that we didn't already know. It's just like they basically just went and just did a fact collecting exercise and just republished it as this bullcrap, and that to me is like not acceptable. It actually defeats the purpose of just doing this in the first place. But anyway, I hold some hope that there'll be some gold in the remaining third. So let's get to that before I get even more heated.
Before you go on, Dens, I was just going to say they should have just got F1 Twitter to do this report.
They might as well have, because they've been more resourceful with this bullcrap. Honestly, like, this is a joke. It's an absolute joke. But let me finish this bit off, guys, and then we'll wrap this part up. We'll get some of the fans' comments on the screen as well as to what they think. But safety car and lapping procedure. The safety car and lapping procedure was a central topic, blah, 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 blah. They put the articles in there, blah, blah, blah. It was apparent that the analysis, that there could be a different interpretation. What do you mean a different interpretation on lapping procedure? Because this is the next thing they haven't touched on either. There's like, if the rules say that all cars are obliged, or any lap car is obliged to overtake the safety car, surely to the common person, that means all cars should be able to unlap the safety car, not some, not the ones that you want to pick and move like a Scare Electrics, like dodgy like event, like, and they still haven't touched on that, which is absolute bull. So let's go on to the next bit here, paragraph 32. It was also considered that decisions regarding the safety car at the end of 2021 likely to look into the previous decisions, including the F1 SAC, F1 Commission team managers made it clear preferences to end the race under green flag racing conditions rather than the safety car when safe to do so. The F1 drivers' consultation confirmed that finishing a race under the green flag conditions remains desirable, but that the safety car should always come first, or safety should always come first, sorry. It was safety reasons. It was not possible to withdraw the safety car. The F1 teams confirmed that they would accept finishing the safety. And that's the thing, a safety car, this, guys, another point I want to point out here as well. I believe it's 2012. It wouldn't be the first time that a Formula One championship is finished under a safety car. We had Sebastian Vettel win a championship in 2012, I think at São Paulo in Brazil under safety car. So why is that such a point I can't understand? And you're moving away from the whole crux of the issues here, which is crazy. But anyway, the process of identifying the lap cars used to be a manual process. For 2022, season software has been developed that will automate the communication and list of cars. Well, again, computers have faults as well, so I don't know how much confidence that really gives me. In the recent e-vote, it's changed the rules, clarifies unlapping cars, further investigation to F1 timing shall clarify whether. So wait, why is it further investigation? They've had 3 bloody months to get this stuff sorted out. Why is there still further investigations? Nonsense. Article 35 or paragraph 35, the results of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix are valid and final. Are they valid though? Cannot be changed. Okay. In accordance to the rules, Mercedes made a protest to the stewards after the race, seeking to change the race classifications. The stewards have dismissed the protest, and Mercedes then had the opportunity to appeal the decision. Okay, but they did not do so. Yeah, why would they appeal again? Why would Mercedes appeal a decision at international court of appeal that is governed by the FIA? Rory touched on this point. Why would you let the person that's committed the crime mark their own homework? How does that make any sense?
I think Michael Massey did this report. To be honest, I think they just said you're going to do this and you're going to do this because
this is your resignation letter.
This is your resignation letter.
It's a nightmare on Elm Street. This. What is this? Like, okay. So then, okay, cool. We'll get into the final bit of this, guys. So just hold up with us. FIA race management team structure. Support available to the race management team was identified as key issues and participants, context in ensuring that the race director is able to perform his or her role. Responsibility for supporting the race management team lies primarily with the FIA single-seater department. When consulted in relation to support, they provided the department. The team was positive and worked well together. Not sure about that. They noted the demanding nature. Again, stop with this self-loathing. It's demanding. It's everybody has pressure. There's not a job in the world where you don't have pressure. Like, that's not an excuse for what happened. That's bull. They also identified that they need additional support and resources in order to improve the functioning of the department. Well, do it. You guys get enough money from these teams, fining them for infringements, taking money away from the fans, all these other things that you guys do. Reinvest it into the bloody sport. What are you guys doing? This is, man, these people. Additionally, staff identified need to improve communications between the FIA office in Geneva and the track staff, and between again, how does this come into what was breached or the rules that were breached? Supplement the FIA financial regulations, reduction of duration of consultancy agreements from 3 years to 1 year. Well, again, I think that's maybe one good thing, because if you have people just there on a 1 year basis, there's no chance that they're gonna have bias or, I guess, stay there and have influence over the sport in that way. So fair enough. Recommendations. So recommendation 1, to assist the race director. So we've got this basically VAR system. We already know about that. Fair enough. Direct communication. Again, we've been told about that. Move on. Unlapping procedures behind the safety car. I don't understand why this box is the shortest of all of them when it's the most contentious. So unlapping procedures behind the safety car should be reassessed by the F1 Sporting Advisory Committee and represented to the F1 Commission prior to start of next season. Okay, so where's this? Where is this? How's that been missed? Like, bro, how are you shooter and you don't hit the rim? What's going on? Bro, Okay, recommendation 4: a new race management team for Barcelona. Okay, we know about Wittich, we know about Aguado Freitas. Cool. Many improvements, such as recruitments and division of the race directors, many roles and tasks have been made. Furthermore, the role of executive director of the FIA single seater was created, which Peter Bayer holds in addition to his role. However, in order to finalize the new structure, a new F1 director will be recruited, process finalized. Addition of senior regulatory legal counsel will be recruited to strengthen the legal support during F1 competitions, regardless of time difference. It suggested that all recommendations that have not already been implemented are actioned as a matter of priority, so that the benefit of the lessons learned and detailed analysis and clarification can be maximized for the 2022 season and will be kept. Guys, just yeah.
And that's it.
Guys, just my head's hurt. I'm gonna go to the comments just to let me chill out for a bit here. So let me see. So we've got where should I go? Long document, not saying anything. Yeah, J Starship, absolutely agree with you there. RJ, yep, true. Mary, blah 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 blah. It is just waffle. What about 4 minutes then? Yeah. Load of BS. Yep. BS again. Yep. Weird months, pages of tweets. Yes. Still no trust in FIA or no integrity. Yes. It's a joke. Yes. Lots of fluff. Yes.
Yep.
Entertainment above integrity. Yes. I'm convinced that the commentators had a hand in this report. They might as well have, Jay, because that's how it seems. Just again.
Will Buxton, I'd love to see what he has to say about this.
Oh, well, we got a Will Buxton segment coming up, bro. So that's
Oh,
coming
yes.
soon. Did Horner write this report? What a joke. Must
Probably.
have, because, again, I don't get it. What the hell was that, guys? So, in a nutshell, we waited 90 days, like 90-day fiance, for this bride, this report, this lovely thing that was going to clarify a lot of the issues that have been happening in the sport. And it's just boo. It's just, it'll make no sense. It's just, they just did like a fact capturing exercise and just regurgitated all the points that everyone else had basically did. Oh man, that's some boo. Mary said, I don't blame you, Mary, because you were there at the circuit too whilst this was happening. Imagine you paid like $5,000 to go to one of the biggest events, this blockbuster event. And this is what they come. Oh mate, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, because that's just boo. That's the most boo I've ever seen in my entire life. Crystal said no account. Yeah, none. The thing is that they've highlighted that things were not followed, but they've not come out there and said we were wrong, or they've not said like directly how they're gonna resolve that. Oh, guys, I don't know. Like, that's kind of, I can't lie, that's kind of pissed me off a bit. Exactly, Jay. Like, they explain nothing. Just man, that's. Listen, gonna come back to this. Let's go back to the other program of the show, because again, see how the FIA ruined everything. We're gonna have a nice Drive to Survive review, and they just come with this bombshell, and they absolutely just. Oh man, I just don't know. So okay, what we'll do next then is start of the show in relation to Drive to Survive. We'll come back to the Abu Dhabi report, but start of the show for Drive to Survive, lads. What were we saying?
I'll start off again. I think Max Verstappen was definitely the star of the show.
Bro,
I know. I'm joking.
I'm
joking. Because we didn't even see him, so I'm just going to say, no. Honestly, I think the star of the show for me was Yuki Tsunoda and Günther Steiner for me. And you can say Christian Horner, but in the back, he was the villain of the show, if you get me.
Yeah.
I think Christian Horner also wanted to be the star of the show. He strikes me as a guy who loves when the camera's on him. But in terms of actual content, like you give me one snippet of the show and like what would make me watch, yeah, Yuki or Gunther easily. Those two, It's the main selling point, honestly, in my opinion. So I would probably give it to Yuki a little bit more, just because I think you already know what you're going to get with Gunter based on previous seasons, where Yuki's just kind of like this weird wild card in some ways. So I'll give it to him, even though his screen time wasn't that big.
Yeah, that's true. I think that one dedicated episode to him, and just him moving to Milton Keynes, not working out for him, having to go to Italy and Florenza. I think it really did give us a perspective into what it's like as life as a rookie, what it's like as a rookie in like a junior stable for a bigger team. It's definitely a lot of talking points there. And again, I think my respect for Gunther Steiner grew quite a lot too, because on one side, we always have a thing against pay drivers. We never usually quite huge fans of them. But when you see that the team wouldn't survive without the funding that these pay drivers give, and that pay driver could be a lifeline from hundreds of people losing their jobs, you begin to understand those principles a lot more. So absolutely. Just gonna look at the comments as well. Crystal said they could have released this last week. Honestly, messing. Yeah, absolutely. It goes to show that it definitely has done that. Got JR inside here as well. No one break my door. Bro, coming for you, bro. Mary said Lewis going to qualify and 2 Fs to the FIA. Absolutely agree. Listen, we got Wayne back inside here as well. Wayne, what are you saying about that report, my guy?
It is bullpucky. Obviously, they were always going to protect the sport and protect themselves. We saw this coming with the cursory change from any to all. That was them indicating that they were prepared to just take a beating here and walk away from it. They are done. We, the fans, recognize, the farce that is. They will not acknowledge us anymore. I think they're going to move on and go racing, and as far as they're concerned, this is the end of it. But they were between a rock and a hard place, and not because the FIA put themselves there, because Massive put them there. And anything that they put in this report that was contradictory to what they have said here would, as we know, taint Max's championship. It was a gift. He absolutely needs to win another one in order for him to be recognized as an F1 championship, because when we're dead and gone and people are talking about this, the first thing that is going to come up is what Massey actually did. So, it's a cop out. They were looking for a way out. They recognize the fact that we're going to be up in arms about it. They understand that they're going to take some body blows, but they absolutely need to move on from this. And this is them, deciding that this is the hill to die on, and want to close it out. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a farce. It doesn't address the underlying concerns. But in reality, how do they do that and not ask Max, to give the championship back and have a whole new ceremony again and appoint Lewis? How do you do any of it and not go back and have an abs? And they cannot do that. So yes, I get the fact that we're pissed about it, present company included. But they put a floor under it and they're moving on, and it's a shame.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiments you made there, Wayne. I think you summed it up brilliantly. And yeah, it's just a shame because, listen, even for me as like a Lewis Hamilton fan, as much as I want Lewis to get the 8 world championships, and I think he was worthy to win that championship too, it's the FIA. It's their doing. They've tried to manufacture this championship, which didn't need that, level of unauthentic. It had enough seasoning. It had enough spice. All you had to do is leave the guys on the track, follow the rules by the book, and it was enough for them to do what they did, I think is a huge slap in the face to the fans. The fact that they've gone about the report in this way as well is disappointing. And I think that, people are still going to talk about it because there's a lot of unanswered questions there and it's not satisfactory at all. So, I agree with everything Wayne said there as well. It's a shame to Max too, because I think Max had some decent drives last year. He did well in Paul Ricard. He did well in Austin. There were drives where you could say those were championship winning drives, but because of how the FIA like governed the rules and pushed for this like fake narrative, it hasn't come off. It hasn't come off well at all. So yeah, this shocking. This really shocking, guys. I think what we'll do is we'll move to a much lighter note because I think a lot of us had this coming. And RJ, do you want to say something there?
I meant to say I changed my background. I think this is Massey's compensation package. This home behind me.
Mate, you should have
Rory
some Red
wants
Bull.
his dogs to come in and do their business on the floor. Feel free to do so.
Well, they'll happily do that. They have a problem at the minute with their bladders at the minute. So they do every left, right, and center. They're just weeing everywhere. They're taking their number twos in the kitchen. They have diarrhea. It's a nightmare. And then they're getting sick at 2:00 in the morning as well. So I don't know what's going on. I'll happily do that at Massey's house if he wants that.
I think he needs it because that guy just needs to be gone. But we'll move on to a much lighter note for the next segment of the show. So as part of Drive to Survive, there was a really infamous moment where Will Buxton, I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see. It's just so stupid. And you'd expect better from Will, to be honest. There's a moment in the show where he's like, well, there are 19 cars on the grid. Let me pull it up. I even got a folder. So close that down because I think that's going to spoil it. Will it work? Come on, you want to. There we go. So I think it starts with this one. If not, I could be wrong. So basically, it was Will Buxton saying some really obvious stuff. Like, when a driver puts on his helmet, Jamaica, pause. You can't see his face.
Captain Obvious.
Yeah. Oh, let me go to number 2. I've got a folder of these. So if they say Hulkenberg, that means Hulkenberg must be back. Again, it's so stupid. And when a driver finishes first place, it means he's won. It's just so stupid.
If you drive in Formula One, you're a Formula One driver.
If there's a gap and you no longer go for it, you're no longer a racing driver. Or, if the light goes green, dramatic silence, you can start the race. That's all I have to really say on this segment. But yeah, it was really funny to see those memes and people just were getting onto Will Buxton, which I think was needed. After all. So guys, we've got 2 more segments of the show before we all dip off for Quali. What would you say was your peakest moment? So in North London, we say peak. That's so peak. It's basically saying what was the worst moment of the show for somebody. So I think I'll go for this one first. For me, it had to be Ricardo when he got lapped in Monaco. He was like, oh guys, I don't want to do that. How much is it? How much is the fine? I don't want to do the interviews, and he's running away from the media. Yeah. To me, that had to be the most peakest moment of the show. But what would you guys say was your peak moment of the show?
I think it was the Russian Grand Prix, the Haas episode where it's Nikita Mazepin. He's coming across the line, and the engineer says, "Well done, Maz. We bet Latifi and Schumacher." And then you read after, you remember that Latifi and Schumacher. They even mentioned it drive in DTS that Schumacher had to retire. It was just yeah. I found that the peakest moment for me. Just it was hilarious, but I didn't feel any remorse to Keith Mazepin in that moment. So no.
I mentioned that earlier. I actually completely agree with that one too. You have Mazepin, the clouds in Russia they're different. They're different type of clouds. I know it's going to rain in 20 minutes. He's got a degree in meteorology. He knows exactly what's going to happen. Sorry to say, bro, it didn't make a lick of a difference. But that just kind of goes to show in some ways Drive to Survive. It tries to dramatize things that don't need to be. Yeah, it was a great call. If it was someone in the moment where it's you're Norris, where you decide not to box and that could have cost you the win, great. Yeah, let's definitely show it. But when you're in the back of the pack, sure, you beat 2 other drivers, but you still finished 18 out of 18 on the grid. Like, dude, come on, man. Come on, bro.
2 laps down, by the way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Literally. No, it's crazy. And yeah, just oh man, the way that they try and package things in Drive to Survive and they just leave out the most obvious truths, it's mind numbing. It honestly really is. And like that's what concerns me sometimes, because it's like there are going to be people that look into this and they're not going to get the full picture of what's actually going on. So yeah, so a lot of smoke and mirrors. So last 2 bits now. I just wanted to have a fans comments bit. So guys, if you're still watching, I know we've got a couple of people in here. Like, put your comments in the chat. We'll try and put them up on the screen. If there's any talking points you think we should address, anything that you guys want us to say. Whilst waiting for those comments to come in, guys, predictions for Quali. Because whilst everything was happening and I was like trying to get all the notes together for this episode, I know free practice 3 was happening and Lewis put in a banger, Russell put in a banger, Leclerc put in a banger. So it's going to be interesting. But guys, I'll start with Rory. What are your predictions for Quali?
I was on mute because my dogs have seen like another cat and they're literally trying to jump through the window. And
Oh, no.
but I'll go on Quali. So I'm going to do my top. I'm going to do top 3 and bottom 3. So
Okay.
top 3, I'm going Charles Leclerc, Max, and Lewis. Then I'm going bottom 3. I'm going Daniel Ricciardo, Alex Albon, and Guan Yu Zhou.
Interesting. Why Daniel? Does Daniel still have an issue with brake ducts, or did something go wrong with his McLaren?
Car was leaking, right?
You're on mute, I think, Ross.
Sorry, dogs again. So
Wait, is he muted again?
He muted himself again.
Yeah, he muted, double mute. The most Irish thing this morning.
No, I don't know what's going on. I'm blaming the computer this time. And no, but I think it's because of the water leak and how like testing as well. He didn't get much time in the car, and yeah, I think he's just gonna have a bad weekend this year. He might get points. He might get up to like the top in like 11th or 12th, but like in the race. But I don't think he's gonna have a good weekend this year. I could be completely wrong, but yeah.
Okay. And RJ, what's your take? Your top 3 and your bottom 3.
So I don't know if this is a race prediction, but top 3, what I like seeing, I'm gonna go with Charles as well. Max. Lewis did put in a banger lap, but I'm gonna say I'm not saying this is like, I just think this is who did the best. I actually like George Russell. His first time in that car, he did come up with a quality lap time, and I think for him in that car, even if Lewis, proverbially did do better, I think it means more for someone like George Russell. So I thought that was pretty promising. Bottom 3, I got to go Yuki in one of them. He couldn't even get out of the garage. So I think that's already that's a bad sign right away, in my opinion. Again, not purely based on results. I'm going Latifi as well. I know some people want a house built on the fact that Latifi might get a podium this year, but I can't buy that yet based on what I've seen so far. And then I don't know. For some reason, I'm going to go with Ricardo as well. The people who just unfortunately can't perform. He's coming out of COVID. And that brings me up to a different point I want to chat about after this. So we'll circle back to COVID and COVID making a resurgence. But what about you, Dens?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. For me, I'm going to go with my boy, the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton, first place for Quali.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put the young whippersnapper, Max, in second, because the Red Bull does look quite pacey. I'd like to see Leclerc third. That'd be nice for me. And maybe Russell fourth, maybe Sainz fifth. Bottom 3, I'm going to say... I'm gonna slap Latifi down there.
This is unfair. This is
it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm going to put Mick... Actually, again... I haven't been paying attention to EP3, but apparently Haas were doing bits too. But I think when all the engine modes will turn up, yeah, they still got a lot of work to do. So probably Mick, and then K-Mag probably P17. So let's go into some comments as well from you guys. So we've got Jay Starship. Hi Jay. The show got me into F1, but now I don't watch DTS anymore. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it circles back to the points we're talking about in relation to the sport, like no, not the sport, sorry, the program itself, like not being so integral to the sport, not really upholding the values, and a lot of like key information and points missed. So I absolutely agree with that, and I'm sure the guys do as well. Crystal saying when they made Mazepin seem like he was catching out to Lewis. Oh mate, they're shameless. They honestly have no shame. Mary said Lewis going to smash qualifying. Get in there, Mary. Absolutely. Mary saying, how's the Wi-Fi connection going for Rory? Yeah, Rory's connection's moving like a horse right now. It's just moving mad.
I
Some
think
porpoising going on.
Exactly.
I think if it was at Cheltenham racing, I think I'd be a millionaire by now because it'd be bolting up and down in the race.
Oh man, okay. And then Mary said K-Mag. I don't know if that's a good thing for K-Mag or a bad thing for K-Mag, but you can't go wrong with the Danish Viking, serious serial guy. He's on that smoke. He's gonna push Mick, which we love to see, and it's great to have him return to the sport. And our final word I will give to our great co-host as well, Wayne Dixon. Gonna add him back inside here. Wayne, thoughts?
Rainmaker.
I apologize for dropping in and out because I wasn't prepared to join today, and I'm multitasking here, but I had to get a piece of this. I love you, Mary. Just let me say that. But I think Max is still
something controversial is coming up here now.
Max has still got the card to beat at this point in time. So I think he'll top the times. I think I'm edging at this point because I still don't think that the Merc is ready yet, but I am going to give them the second spot, and then I'll give Leclerc third at this point in time. Latifi at the back.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Albon at the back, Latifi ahead of him. I don't know. It's Tsunoda. I think the car's having problems. So unless they can get it fixed, he'll be back there too. So
yeah, valid points there, and very similar to the points we've mentioned as well. Got a couple of Haas points as well, so thank you to everybody that's been kind of supporting me. So Haas was looking good, okay. He was in P7 FP3, okay, so I'm assuming that's in relation to K-Mag, which is nice. Mick was purple in the middle sectors. That Mick Schumacher, or is that Michael? Interesting to see. And believe Rainmaker, I've got a feeling, okay. So, the shenanigans between Mary.
You tried to let her
and
down
Wayne.
easy.
Basically. And Jay saying Russell may outqualify Lewis, but it's still a Mercedes, so I'm rooting for Mark. Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well. Yep. It's too early to be on this narrative of putting Lewis against George or George against Lewis. There's clearly some issues with that car, and they need to work together as a team to stabilize the issues and like maximize the performance of the W13. Because to me, guys, I don't know how you guys feel, but to me, I do love the W13. It's not as radical as the Ferrari or maybe in aspects the Red Bull. But it just looks like how a generic Formula One car should look, and the crazy zero side pods as well. I think the car has potential. They just need to work a couple of things out. But what's your guys' take on that?
Go ahead, Rory.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking because I just saw like a flash of light just came onto my screen. I was just thinking, is this like Michael Massey coming from here or something like that? But no, I think with the Mercedes, I think this is going to sound. Oh, what's going on my screen? My screen is like there's like a white light coming onto my screen.
Michael Massey's coming for you, bro.
No, anyway, I think
you've been hacked.
Yeah, I've been hacked. I think. Yeah, I think with the Mercedes, I am going to say I don't know when I did. This could be false what I'm saying, but I had a dream about the Mercedes side pods before they were revealed, but they weren't with Mercedes. They were with another team. There was like no side pods, but it was similar to Mercedes. So I'm thinking I knew before.
Oh, okay. I see what you're trying to do.
No, I think Mercedes are not. Like, I think looking at free practice, they didn't have as much porpoising as they did yesterday. and they did like set good laps, but I do think they'll be up there in the qualifying. But I am going to say something that is very controversial. This is not my words. This is F1 Diplomat's words. Go follow him on Twitter. In the space last night, he told me not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm accepting.
Careful, Rory.
He said George Russell will mop Lewis Hamilton this year. And he said the context to this was he said I don't want to admit it, but looking in free practice 2 yesterday, how Russell was way higher than Lewis. Yeah, it's not my words. If you want to go direct your hate at F1 Diplomat, go ahead.
On Tim, we're gonna start which hunt? We're gonna start which hunt now? It's too late to go back now, F1 Diplomat. When I catch you, it's on site. No, like
Reach a cold, but he's packing that heat. Watch out.
Exactly. No, well, people. I think it's too early to look into it. And Lewis did have a DRS failure in FP2 as well. So. Yeah, I think it's gonna be tongue and hammer. I think you're gonna see Russell faster at occasions. You're gonna see Lewis faster at occasions. It's okay as long as they're challenging and they're being competitive. That's what we want to see. But to wrap up the stream then, because I know qualifying is gonna start soon. Wayne Dixon said, "I want wherever you're smoking."
Irish blend.
Diplomat.
Wait, no, Denzel, I'm sending you a screenshot of what he said to me. So
don't worry, bro. I believe you. And he's gonna hold that smoke. He's gonna hold that smoke. We're gonna call F1 Diplomat Mr. Chimney because he's gonna be smoking on a loud Lewis Hamilton pack when the GOAT returns. So absolutely.
Yeah, I sent it to you. So yeah,
Okay.
so you have evidence as well.
All right, don't worry. We're on to him. We're on to F1 Diplomat. We can clip this part of the show as well and send it to him. On to him. But guys, it's been lovely doing this first episode of the DRS Zone live stream podcast. My brothers, Rory Dunne, my brother, Rhett Jackson, my brother, Wayne Dixon. All of our handles are in the description. So if you guys want to follow us, big shout out. And guys, if you could please, I'm on my knees. Please make sure you go to the DRS Zone podcast or DRS Zone Twitter handle. I think we're 2 away from 100. If you could just follow that and give us 100. Chef's kiss. That would be excellent. Listen, it's been your boy AMG Dens. Got the sauce like Gasly, and on the street they call me Planting Piastri. And I've been with my brothers, and it's been such an awesome show. Jay Starship, big up yourself. Mary, big up yourself. Mike Fowler, big up yourself. JR Sim Racing, go and follow him as well. Big up yourself. Rhett, well, he's on the panel anyway, so big up your damn self. Just looking at any other buddy in here. Moaning Yorkshireman, big up yourself. Everybody, thank you for being part of this show. We'll try and bring it again next week in the build-up of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia Grand Prix.
Yes.
So lots to see. But guys, I'll let Rory and RJ sign out as well. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I am going to say to Mary's question, I won't be doing a space today because I'm going to a sports match tonight. So, and as well, I will be doing. If RJ might know, you'll be doing a race review on DRS Zone tomorrow after the race. So I'll be jumping onto that when that is happening. So then we can get Diplomat onto that. So
definitely, yeah, we'll be doing a spaces right after the race just to try to break down everything as well. Final comments from me. I don't think Mercedes is this quote unquote sandbagging. That's a term we've seen a lot here, but very excited for the race. Little lesser known trivia. Actually, at this circuit, you can't spray alcohol or even actually have any alcohol sponsors. So what they actually spray is called Ward. It's like a rose water. This race was originally won in 2004 by Schumacher. And if Mercedes isn't on the top of the podium, I am predicting a Ferrari will be spraying the Ward as well. So you heard it here first. We'll have some more spaces. This will be recorded. I'm sure some tidbits and bits chopped up, screwed up, however the way you want it for more your viewing pleasure, to say the least. But definitely give us a follow, and we'll look forward to seeing everyone here back again next week, if not in spaces later this weekend.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Red. That's awesome. And also, quick little fact I just want to put on there as a bombshell. Did you know that the Bahrain GP circuit was built on a camel farm? It actually used to. I was listening to F3 race earlier, and the commentator was saying that before it was it cost I think $150 million to build, and obviously it's designed by Herman Tilke, 3.3 mile circuit. But yeah, it was designed on top of what used to be a camel farm where they used to I guess stock camels. So yeah, hopefully the Williams goes faster than a camel. But on that note, and that bombshell, guys, it's been the DRS zone. Lovely, awesome having you guys on, and we'll do it again soon. Until next time, enjoy qualifying, be safe, enjoy the race tomorrow as well, and we'll be back again soon. Peace.
Cheers.